I was out in this drainage, this grizzly bear. This grizzly bear, my dad's there, and I'm cow calling. Okay?
And you think the elk's coming.
I think this elk's coming.
But it's not.
It's not. I see the elk go across this ridge, right? It goes across this ridge. And then I see this brown flash go down this hill in front of me. And there's a bit of a, if you look like this brown flash has to go down this ridge and then around the corner of the spine of the ridge and stay down in the valley. I know that above me is a elk carcass freshly killed yesterday. So I'm calling, I'm waiting for this big bull elk. I'm looking this way, and I turn around. I look down below me, and 100 yards below me, my dad's here, I'm here, and I turn around below me, and there's a giant bear 100 yards below me. I turn all the way around. I'm like, Dad, there's a bear. There's a bear. There's a bear. There's a bear. I have my pistol right here.
Does your dad have a pistol?
He's not. He has a bow only. I have a pistol and bear spray.
Does your dad have bear spray?
He does not. At this point, he's not. So luckily, I'm between him and the bear. The bear goes down the drainage. I remember, as a hunter, mostly I'm worried about is this a black bear or a grizzly bear. I didn't know at the time. It was kind of shadowed in this ravine as it was going up. And I'm looking through the binos. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm not sure if it's a black or grizzly bear. Grizzly bears have a distinct hump that you're looking for that's different from a black bear. And they can be, and this black bear's sauntering down.
At the risk of making this a longer story,
yeah,
explain why it's way more dangerous if it's a grizzly.
A black bear, you and I have experienced this in Alberta together. A black bear is not as aggressive, not as predatory. Black bear attacks are very less frequent than grizzly bear attacks. I don't know that I could explain kind of just the nature of a grizzly bear and a black bear is an omnivore in many ways. A grizzly bear is a carnivore. And in this scenario, I would be, if it was a black bear, I would be looking to shoot it rather than being afraid of it because I love black bear meat. It's delicious. And black bear fat, you've had Clay Newcomb on, you make bear grease. It's one of the best things that there is. So I guess that maybe explains the difference. And
but
then
for people, like, in comparison, it's like a golden retriever versus a wolf.
Pretty much. That's a pretty good comparison.
It's a completely different animal.
I wish there was a wildapologist to kind of really lay it out there. But
he would probably say German Shepherd wolf.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what he probably would
That's
say.
Fucker.
I'm trying to be like more comedic. But
right.
It's a different animal.
It is. And I would say that you've seen it when we were hunting bait in Alberta.
Yeah.
When a black bear comes in, you're willing to stand your ground.
We were on our way. We saw a grizzly in Alberta. When we were on our way to where we were hunting, looking eye to eye with a grizzly is wild.
It's a wild thing. And when a grizzly bear comes through a stand of timber or mountainside in this case, things go quiet.
And we didn't even, when I was in Alberta, the one I've seen in the wild was not that big. But the one you saw was big.
This is one of the biggest bears I've ever seen. I'm talking big hind end, just
Give me a roundabout.
I have no idea. I would guess it at the 6.5 to 7 feet.
Oh.
I don't know how to guess how much it weighed.
300, 350.
No, fucking way more than that.
450.
700, 600 pounds. We later found
700 pounds.
We later found the track on the road where we walk in every morning to the drainage, this little 2-track dirt road where we walk in. We found this thing's track. So it is sauntering up this drainage. And there's a moment where my mind's not in the right spot. It's in the place of, is this a grizzly bear or a black bear? And now that I look back on that moment, that bear was about 2 seconds away from ripping my face off.
Oh my God.
I'm cow calling. To that bear, I'm a cow elk. And to me, I wasn't scared. I wasn't pulling for my pistol. I was watching it as a hunter might watch any game species
thinking an elk's gonna come over the ridge.
Yeah.
And a grizzly bear. How many pounds?
Maybe 700-800 pounds. I don't know. I hope I'm not wrong about that.
Nice.
It's a big one.
Let's be nice and say 600. Imagine a 600-pound super predator.
One swat. One swat.
full clip towards you.
I've interviewed many people that have had their face ripped off, their testicles ripped off. I know the pure carnage that a grizzly bear like that can do, and I also know in my pack is a tourniquet and all the medical supplies a man might carry. But I'm pretty close to town. My dad's there. We have our cell phone service. We're not in the backcountry. I know at this point, when I determined it to be a grizzly bear, it's already walking up the drainage away from me. I determined it's a grizzly bear. I know then that if it turns back to us, we got a problem. But if it keeps going up the drainage, I know where it's headed. It's headed to that elk carcass that was there. And so luckily for us, it goes up the drainage. It heads over towards the elk carcass and ducks into the timber, and it's not the end of it, but that's the end of that encounter.
And you're carrying a pistol?
I have a pistol.
What caliber?
44 Magnum. A Taurus 44 Magnum ultralight. And I have a chest holster. That's from a guy named Razco. A guy in Bozeman makes this chest holster that attaches to the bottom of the FA
is this
chest.
a revolver?
This is a revolver. And I have bear spray on the hip belt of my.
So you can get off six shots?
I can get off 6 shots.
6 shots.
And I know, again, having been in the industry and talked to a lot of people that have had encounters, I know kind of how this is going to go. And likely how it goes is the only way you get out of it is you get mauled and the bear loses interest, or the person that's with you saves you in some manner, right?
Yeah.
There's a pretty famous...
But your dad doesn't have a gun.
He doesn't. He has a bow.
And you're in front.
I'm in front.
Oh,
so I'm between these two. And again, this
is your pistol in... Is it... You have to open up a snap to pull it out?
No,
or is it in
fully,
Kydex or something?
It's fully in a molded holster that I can pull out and present.
Right.
Easy. It'll be double action because I don't have it cocked.
And do you have a thought when that's happening where he might run away, but if I shoot him, he might attack me?
Yeah, I mean,
there's like a calculation, right?
Yeah, and again, as a hunter, I'm more interested in what is this thing doing, why is it here, than I am like I should run away.
Right.
And that is, I think, both appropriate and also probably not the best thing to be doing, man. Like you should probably be.
Can you remember what you thought? Like what went through your head when you realized it wasn't an elk, and it was a giant grizzly bear?
Finally. Yeah. Because you are in a country where dude, I've been out in June setting a trail camera and heard a wolf howl. I told you I talked to the game warden. He's like, there's bears around. And so the thing that you do is you prepare for the worst, and you really, really prepare for the worst. And I did it knowing that there's folks that I've talked to, like I said, that have had really life-changing experiences. One of them in Kodiak, a brown bear ripped off his testicles. One of them in Alaska, a brown bear, I think grizzly bear, ripped off his face. And so I know these stories. I know them all too fucking well.
Well, there's a video of that one guy.
Yeah.
Pretty recently.
Glenn Bond.
Yeah. How many, 4 or 5 years ago, right?
It would have been back in, roughly
whatever,
that.
Give or take a few years.
Yeah.
That one is available online. It's horrendous.
Kind of, yeah. They keep pulling it offline.
They put his face back together again. Pretty good.
I have the full... I talked to that guy. I know that guy very well, and I have the full story of that. You can listen to it on the Hunting Collective. There's a podcast with Brett Bond.
Yeah, I listened to it.
It's amazing. It's a whole nother show, probably.
But it's like that's one of those conversations where like a vegan or an animal rights activist would be like, good.
Some people might say that.
Like, I'm glad that fucking
and
bear
people
got
said that
guy.
about Brett Bond and his father Glenn.
Yeah,
who was
did.
attacked. There was a lot of people saying like, because they were hunting bears at the time, and they were hunting bears in their den on the Denali Highway in Alaska.
Yeah.
And so people were like, good, you hunt them in their den, that's what happens. And again, and that's where I come back to the emotion of finally, because so much of my hunting life in Montana has been anticipation of those encounters.
And that was the first ever?
With a bear, with grizzly bear, yeah.
Wow.
Well, not the first ever in my life. First ever in Montana. I was once on a caribou hunt up in Northwest Territories. they helicopter you out into the middle of nowhere, and then you have I think a 12-hour delay before you can hunt once you've been helicoptered into the wilderness. I think it's 12 or 24 hours, but you have a delay before you can hunt. So you literally have to sit there and wait. And we were there at a time in August when there was no darkness. It was literally light pretty much the entire 24-hour day. And so we sat on a ridgeline, and we were glassing for caribou in the period where we couldn't hunt. And here comes this sow grizzly bear down this drainage. Every bush that she went by, whack! Every piece of moss, she just whack! Just crushed. She was upset. She's having a bad day. Whether her cub got taken or she was just in a predatory mood, I remember glassing her with a spotting scope going like, hope she doesn't come over here. And we were sitting on kind of a...
Is that normal behavior when like a cub gets eaten by a boar?
I don't know if that's normal behavior. I imagine it to be.
For folks who don't know, that happens a lot. And the females try to fight the boar off.
I imagine it to be. I imagine them to be aggressive in the times that they need to be. But I don't know enough to know if that's like every time a cub gets eaten, she goes out and whacks the shit out of the next thing she sees. I don't know that. But in this case, this sow was alone. She was not... she didn't look all that mature, but she was going down this drainage. Just everything she saw, she was hitting. And I thought, well, if she comes by me,
you're fucked.
I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And we were kind of on what we would call a glass and tit, which is kind of a raised up ridge and glassing. And she got at some point below us where we couldn't see her.
What a terrifying idea of a mad grizzly, like a road raging grizzly.
You're like, dude, oh. And then
that's
you think
what that is. It's like someone just fucking fuck you.
And where do grizzlies live, right? The grizzlies don't live by the urgent care. Right. They live in places where if they whack you,
you're fucked.
You're fucked unless your friend knows how to...
If they break both your legs, you have to crawl to safety if you can.
So in the examples of Brett Bond, who we were just talking about, he saved his father. His father got his face ripped off by a grizzly bear. He comes running down the hill with his .454 Casull, shoots this bear, bang, 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 kills it. It actually, I was reading some of his accounts of the hunt. He measured 5.5 feet from his bootstrap to where the bear died when he was defending his father's life. His father had been attacked.
Oh my God. How much did the bear weigh?
The bear is now in Glenn Bond, who's 70. He's probably in his 80s now, is in his living room. He got it mounted, full standing mount, and it's in his living room. I bet that bear weighed 800 plus pounds easy. And again, apologies for getting that wrong if that's the case. But
we got to wrap this up. But before we wrap this up, how does that bear story end? Is that it?
Yeah, the bear leaves and goes to eat that elk carcass.
How close were you at the closest time?
80 yards. Toward death.
How many seconds would it take for a bear to sprint at you from 80 yards?
2.
Do you think you'd have time to pull the gun?
Well, we did a whole thing with Clay Newcomb, if you look on the old Meat Eater YouTube, where we tried to figure out how quickly you could draw your bear spray or your pistol.
Not so quick.
Not so quickly. Not so quick. I probably would have gotten mauled. But again, that's the reality of the world in which we live, Joseph Rogan.
That's a nice thing to say if you don't get mauled. If you do get mauled, you should say, I should take up roller skating.
Yeah, if you don't get mauled, you're like, ah!
If you don't get mauled, you're like, I am going roller skating from here on out.
I'm going to take up crochet.
Yeah. Like if you got mauled and you had the opportunity to not get mauled, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do something else.
I'm going to keep my face.
There's, you know, about the Sundarbans in India?
Yes.
That's a crazy place.
Crazy.
I did a bit about that in my act as well, back in 2009, my Comedy Central special, where over a period of 200 years, they think somewhere in the neighborhood of 300,000 people have been killed by tigers in the Sundarbans.
Isn't that nuts? I mean, it's just like that number. It's unfathomable.
There was a story that I talked about in that set where there was a boat filled with 5 guys, and one tiger swam out to the boat, killed a guy, dragged his body to the shore, jumped back in the water, swam out to the boat, killed another guy. Did it with 3 different guys until he got tired of killing people.
That's insane.
Killed 3 people in a boat of 5. So these 2 guys lost 3 of their friends just shit in their pants. They swim.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tigers
swim.
are crazy. And what's crazy about the Sundarbans, too, is there's saltwater crocodiles, there's tigers, there's bear. I mean, there's elephants. Yeah, there's Asiatic sun bear there. It's just like, it's this crazy little habitat. And I know a couple photographers that have been in there, and they're like, you don't see anything. It's like huge, tall tufts of grass. You know, everything can hide perfectly, and it's all there. and you just don't see it coming.
Oh, fuck. And a bunch of people that are living in these huts and these villages. They have no protection.
But you said something earlier today about how your friend projected the wolf howl into the...
Not my friend, that guy in that thing that we watched.
that weird wolf guy. Gotcha.
The wolf expert.
But what I love, find that those non-conflict mitigations are going to be the wave of the future, right? Using technology to come up with biocontrols like a wolf growl to other wolves, or an alarming sound or a smell that animals don't want to interfere because of territories. I think that stuff's fascinating.
It is. Yeah, I agree. It really is interesting. And I think one of the cool things about all this wildlife is that if we handle it correctly, we can make sure that these things are sustainable and they stay around, and we can still be like just marvel at their presence.
Yeah.
And it is possible to keep wolves here.
Yeah.
It's possible to keep grizzly bears here. It's possible to keep all these things here, and we really, 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 really should.
Yep.
Because if you go back in time, I mean, how amazing would it be if we could go back in time and see saber-toothed tigers?
Like, incredible.
To be able to see some of these animals that you only see depictions of, or you see skulls of, that were caught in the La Brea tar pits or something. Like, we have those things right now. We have a lot of them.
And we can save them. And we have the knowledge, the power, the technology, the tools, the finance. We have all the pieces of the puzzle to make it work.
Well, I think that's one of the really cool things about what you do is you broadcast all this stuff, and you let people know, and you have a big signal, and you show people all this cool stuff like that tortoise that you found, or like all these other different animals, and you let people know, like, this is interesting, this is exciting, and it's something that it's in our DNA to be fascinated by other life forms,
right? And it's worth saving.
Yeah,
like we don't want to be sitting here, our great grandkids, Joe, sitting at the same table, 100 years from now, going, man, imagine if we could have seen a grizzly bear.
Yeah,
we don't want that.
Well, we still have them here in California. It's in our state flag.
It's in our flag, the golden grizzly.
Yeah, but there's not a single one left.
No,
they killed all those fuckers.
Yeah, possibly. I don't want to get down a weird rabbit hole here. Possibly in Mexico, the silver grizzly bear in the high Mexican Sierras.
What?
Ongoing reports of grizzlies. So the same species that would have been here, right, that hung out in the Sierras, traveling all the way down into the Sierra Madres of Mexico, and then in these what they call sky islands, if you're familiar with that term. I'll explain in a second. These islands of isolated habitat up in the sky where they get more rainfall and everything else. There's big tracts of private land down there in Mexico where a couple of these farmers are like, something's killing my cattle, and it's not a mountain lion, and it could potentially be like half a dozen Mexican grizzly bears.
Couldn't it be jaguars though?
Could be, but they're saying it's not cats. There's like reported sightings of seeing bears.
Really?
And if you look up the Mexican grizzly bear, it was declared extinct 20 years before another one was killed. So they're like, nah, they're gone. They're declared extinct. Then 20 years later, some guy shoots one.
Google Mexican grizzly bear. I need to see this. So what'd you say?
I'm trying to find some, like, this just shows pictures of grizzly bears and stuff. So I'm trying to find, like...
You can add the word silver in my...
Why silver?
I think it's just the fur color.
Oh, so they have like a silvery color to them? Like, oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a black and white photo here, so it's hard to tell.
What? Those are real?
Stuff.
These are stuff in Chicago, but they're from Mexico.
Yeah.
So what year is this?
That's probably World Fair time. I don't know.
Wow.
1899, this says.
But take a look at when the last one was killed, and then if you can find it, see where it says they were extinct, and it's many, many years later.
We took this one on a parade of some sort.
Whoa. Look at that fucker.
1960.
1960s, yeah.
Interesting. So it might be possible that thing is still alive somewhere.
There are reports floating in. And I mean, the 60s, that's not long ago, right? So, there's reports that on these giant tracts of private land up in these mountains, there's potentially a very small population of Mexican grizzly bears.
Wow.
Which I think is fascinating. And it's one of those things that I don't think, it's like so crazy that I don't think anybody's gone and looked. You know what I mean? Like if some rancher who owns 500,000 acres in Mexico is like, yeah, I've got a bear killing my cows. It's like, sure you do, right? But maybe he does. Like who's gone to investigate up in the high mountain peak areas of this 1 million acre ranch.
Well, there's not supposed to be grizzly bears in Colorado, but my friend Adam Greentree, who is a very experienced outdoorsman, he was hunting in the San Juan Mountains, and he got a grizzly bear filmed
No way.
on camera. He's looking at it through a scope, and he documented it on his Instagram page, and he's like, that is a fucking grizzly bear.
Wow.
And there's sightings of them from the past. That was when he was getting chased by one, but that was I believe that was in either Idaho or Wyoming, places where they're known about grizzly bears. His sighting of this is when he's holding up a gun, and a female kept bluff charging him. See her standing there in the background?
Oh yeah, she's
Dude,
not happy.
Not happy. Fuck that.
Wasn't his gun not right?
It wasn't.
too?
No, his gun. He had the wrong caliber bullet in his gun, so it didn't really load all the way into the pistol.
Oh, jeez.
And he didn't know that until after this altercation. So even if he had pulled the trigger, nothing would have happened.
Right.
No bueno. But she bluff charged him. She got within 30 feet a couple of times. Yeah. But even if you train, you put it on your back. Let's say if you put a llama in a backpack. Say you got a fucking Kafaru backpack.
Yeah, good luck.
Stuff the llama in there. You had the whole llama. You zipped it in. Had it. Okay, go over that fence. You'd be like, what?
My buddy who's a guide in Alaska, my buddy Chad, he said that they were climbing up this mountain. It was a fucking nightmare. They just slogging up this steep mountain, and they were looking up, and they're like, God damn, this is a nightmare. And you're making inches.
Yeah.
You're just and you got a backpack, and you're just like, when is this gonna be over? And don't try not to think about it. Digging. Let's take a break.
Yeah.
And they just hear this, and they just see this grizzly with an elk in its mouth. And it just bounds up the mountain. It just goes shaggin, right by them with an elk in its mouth, and just goes up over the mountain and over the ridge, just no problem in 12 seconds. And they were like, "Well, that's a grizzly. That's how strong a fucking grizzly is." And this is me.
Jesus Christ!
I don't want to get. I'm so terrified of. I'm terrified. I don't want to get fucked up by a chimpanzee. A chimpanzee will eat my face and my balls, so I don't want that. And I definitely don't want to get attacked by a grizzly because they'll start eating you when you're still alive.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Most of the time when grizzlies eat people, though, or most of the time when grizzlies kill people, they're not killing someone because they want to eat them.
Right.
They're killing someone because you startled them and they're with the females with their cubs.
Oh.
That's most of it.
So what happens what are you supposed to do when a grizzly? Just pray?
Well, if it's a female grizzly, you are literally better off letting her fuck you up.
Right.
You just curl up in a ball. You're supposed to put your hand behind your neck, lay in a fetal position, and don't let her get access to your organs because she wants to chew your organs apart.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why it's really important to have a strong backpack. If you have a strong backpack, she'll fuck up that backpack while you're on your knees, curled up in a fetal position. But that's assuming you can survive that. She's probably going to break your arms. She's probably going to snap your legs, bite into you in ways that you can't imagine the kind of force and power she can generate. She's trying to immobilize you. She wants to immobilize you as a threat to her children.
Oof.
But if a male's trying to kill you, it's usually because he's starving to death. They don't recognize people as a food source because they rarely eat people.
Right.
So that male, he probably has never eaten a person. It's one of the reasons why it's safer to be in a place where they hunt grizzlies. Because in a place where they hunt grizzlies, a grizzly sees a person and goes, fuck this. They'll smell you and get the fuck out of there.
Right.
But like Yellowstone, they haven't hunted grizzlies there in forever. So people still get jacked there. They get jacked there every couple of years. Someone gets killed.
I would always have a gun with me.
You should, but you might not be able to get to it.
Yeah.
And you also have to be able to prepare to pull it out and shoot quickly. You can't think that just because you have a gun that you're going to be okay.
No, because you don't hear them coming up on you.
They come up so fast. They move so fast. They run. They run fast as a dog, and they're huge.
Is that true?
Yes, they run fast as fuck, man. Fuck. And they're huge. I mean, it's a giant animal,
what is
man.
It, 800 pounds?
Sure.
Think about that.
Sure.
I just stumbled across a story about this just happening where the bear spray didn't work, and it was attacking the guide, and the client went to grab the Glock out of the pack, and it didn't fire. And then the bear came after him, so he tried to throw the gun to the other guy, and then it didn't. That guy just ran it, I guess. I was trying to follow the story.
Who died?
And who died?
It doesn't. I didn't find out. I mean,
Look, it happens all the time. The best story is Ranella's story. Ranella and Remy Warren and Giannis Putelis and our friends, they got attacked while they were on a Fognak Island in Alaska.
Jesus.
Yeah,
When?
Fognak
Recently?
Island is, yes, like
Whoa.
2 years ago. And Remy came on here and told the story, and it's fucking terrifying.
God, what happened?
Well, they killed an elk, and they had hung it in a tree, and they had taken some of the meat back because, you have to hike out. A Fognak is particularly dense. It's very, very dense remember when we were on Prince of Wales Island
Yes.
when we went on that
Dense.
hunt? Dense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like that, but even worse.
And grizzlies everywhere.
Yes, grizzlies everywhere.
I have a huge problem with that.
When we were on that island had black bears.
Yeah.
Which, weirdly enough, they're not as dangerous, but they are more predatory towards people.
I want a giant spiked helmet and spiked collar, and I want my guns in my
Kevlar
hand.
clothes.
And I want Kevlar clothes.
I want an Iron Man suit.
That's right.
I want to be able to
Correct, sir.
shoot rockets out of my hands.
That's right. And I want to be able to
fly through the
electrify
air.
it when the thing bites me.
Yes.
Zzz, ah.
Kill it, and then immediately cut its head off and put it on a stake so all the other grizzly bears know not to fuck
That's
with
exactly right.
you. Right. I like how you think.
There you go. We're
Think
on
like
it.
a man. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
I purposely didn't ask you or talk to you about the grizzly bear attack because I wanted to save it.
You want it? You want
What is it like to have survived, literally being 2 feet away from an attacking grizzly
pretty
bear?
close.
Like
yeah.
you could have grabbed it
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
easily.
Easily. Oh, that was just nuts. It was one of those things. Okay, I've thought about it a million times.
I'm sure. How long ago was this?
That would have been early October or mid-October.
So you've had 3 months.
3 months to kind of
Somewhere
think about
around.
it. Yep. And yeah, man, it's just one of those things that I've thought about it so many times in my head. And I've always been, I think Steve was the same way, like, oh, it'd be pretty cool to survive a bear attack, get scratched up a little bit. After that experience, I thought to myself, if that never happens again, I'll be okay.
Yeah, Steve used to always say, Steve Ranella, we're talking about from the Meat Eater podcast, and he has a 2-part series on this particular bear attack. But he used to always say he wanted to get clawed across the chest and have like not a tattoo, but like a big claw.
Yeah,
I'm like,
a little
what?
bit of marking.
Like, what are the odds that happens?
Yeah, I think that in order to get that, you have to go through a really, really horrible experience.
Yeah.
And there's guys that have had those attacks, or there's guys that have had those attacks a lot. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've been around a lot of wild animals and seen a lot of things and been charged by bears, and this was just different. It was that kind of attack where while it's happening, you're going, this is not going to pan out well. Somebody's going to die. You're just looking at this bear, and it's coming in hot. And just everything, it's a weird experience. Your memory's a little foggy of it. Everything happened so fast, but it felt like it was so long.
So the adrenaline just must overwhelm your
think
brain.
So. Yeah, and you don't even think about. I just remember it was a weird situation. So maybe I'll just kind of recap the story. So we're on a Fognak Island, and we're hunting.
And a Fognak Island is in
off
Alaska.
of Kodiak. Yeah, so a Fognak Island has some of the largest bears in the world. They're brown bears. They are big brown bears. They can be over 1,000 pounds. So we're hunting elk there. My brother and myself have hunted elk on that island before, and it's just a miserable place to be.
What's a fascinating hunt, the way you guys were describing it, because just the fact that you would choose out of all the places you can go, you pretty much can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
You chose to go on this brutal adventure hunt because it's so difficult, and because because like Ranella was talking about this once, and the way he described it is like there's things that are fun while you're doing them, but they're not fun later, like roller coasters.
Yeah.
And then there's things that are terrible and awful, but you'll think about them forever and look back at them fondly.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. It's that, after the fact, you think back and you go, in the moment, you go, I will never do this again. And then about a year later, you go, I should do that again. It's weird.
And what is it about the place that's so miserable?
Well, it's hard to walk through. It looks easy hiking, and there's just this big mountain where you can get to with a plane. You've kind of got to climb this big mountain, and the vegetation is so thick and it's so steep that it takes forever to go somewhere. So to put it in perspective, to go, say, a mile might take 5 hours.
Whoa.
That's how much like a map mile.
Yeah.
So the way the crow would fly, if you're just going a mile, and then another distance could take you half that time or a quarter of that time, but there's a big mountain in between where you need to go, plus the vegetation, and it's really steep. So you've got all that kind of working against you. Plus, you can't really walk in just a straight line there. You've got to navigate around all kinds of stuff.
And there's you from. Play some of this, Jamie.
That was.
It's been destroyed, and this is just a rough day. Real rough.
So that was after the bear attack.
Right afterwards.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out because right after the bear attacked, I pulled out my phone and was just kind of like recording everyone's reactions, and then I put it on my Instagram story. But I'll try to find it tonight and I'll post it onto some. I'll figure out a way to
Instagram
stitch it
stories.
Together.
They let you save them now.
Now they do. Yeah, this was like 3 weeks before that, unfortunately.
So this place is miserable. It's rainy all the time.
Rainy, high winds,
thick, dense vegetation, and literal monsters.
Yeah, I mean giant bears, and then big. The elk are probably. What do they weigh? They can weigh up to 1,400 pounds. These elk, so the
Which
size
is
of moose.
way bigger.
Yeah, it's like the size of 2 normal elk weight wise. Because like an average elk would probably be around 500 pounds in most places.
A really big one, like we were talking about the California ones at Tahoe, sometimes can get to 1,000.
Yeah,
this is another 400 pounds bigger.
Exactly,
than that.
It's a lot. That's a big animal.
Giant animal.
And there's bears that eat those giant animals. So those bears are giant. The bears can be over 1,200, 1,500 pounds themselves. 11 feet or more. Yeah.
11 feet?
11 feet. It's nuts. 11-foot bear.
No. This one that attacked you guys, how big do you think it was, if you had to guess?
I would say, I would say it's 11 and a half feet because, because actually after we went in there, my friend who's a pilot there and dropped us off, he called me about a week or two later. He's like, they shot that bear that went after you guys. Somebody went in there, same place, bear attacked them. They killed it in self-defense. It was 11 and a half feet, and I think almost 1,200 pounds. So there's very good odds that was the same bear. I would imagine that it was. There's very. I mean,
because it's the same area. Same area. Probably had taken over that area.
Seemed about the same size. When it came in, I thought that's a big boar. It wasn't one of those ones you think, oh, that's a. It looked like a big mature animal. In the piecing together what happened in my mind later, but yeah, so we're hunting elk on this island. Steve ends up getting an elk. We hang it in a tree. We do all the stuff you're supposed to do, get the meat away from the carcass. But we had yet to see a bear up until this point. And when my brother and I went in there a few years earlier, we just saw bears every day. We'd see 6 bears a day. So your mind's just bear, bear, bear when you're seeing them all the time. When you aren't seeing them all the time, you get a little lax. And that's where we really screwed up. Because the attack went down, no one was prepared. We were just sitting around having some sandwiches, and we're filming, and there's 6 of us all together. And I think that large group, that 6, is what saved us, because when the bear ran in, it was 6 of us sitting kind of in like a semicircle, a strange circle. And when that bear came in, we did that scatter effect, and I think that scatter was kind of like if a lion's going after a zebra, they use their numbers and stripes to confuse the lion. It was that scattering of things just going everywhere that caused confusion for the bear. So I think the bear went in thinking, whatever's under that tree, I'm going to kill it. And it thought it was one thing. And then when we blew up into 6 different pieces, it just tried to kill everything at once and couldn't actually get one person.
God, that's so lucky.
Yeah, it was crazy because we're sitting down. We decided, we'll have lunch before we hike back, because the day before we hiked a long ways. We got back to camp at 3 in the morning or something. I can't remember, 2 or 3 in the morning. We'd barely eaten. So everyone was just thinking, let's have lunch, regroup, hike out. So Pat, one of the other guys that was with us, brought the jet boil to boil up some coffee. So I was going around collecting water from everyone to get coffee, going around. And when I sat down, I took my pack off, and the whole week I'd been doing this thing where I take my pistol from the pack belt and put it on the holster on my body when I drop my pack. And it was that weird deal where I took the pack off and I'm thinking about switching. I'm like, oh, no, that's fine. And I thought I'll just sit, because there's a few times I'd set my pack down. I was like, I'll just sit, I'll lay on my pack, like as a chair, a backrest, and then I'll flop have the pistol right there. So it's within arm's reach and I'll be sitting there. Well, I go around and get the water, and then someone had moved kind of where I was sitting. So I sit down across from the pack where my pistol is. And then I was thinking about, hey, hand me that pistol, but I just was like, man, you don't want to be that guy. Like, oh yeah, the guy
that needs the pistol all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Not everybody had pistols. Just me and Giannis had a pistol. And then Pat's behind us. He goes, I hear something, and I look up, and that bear's like dead set. So Steve would be where you are. The bear behind Steve. So like Steve was between me and the bear. His back was to it.
Like how far away?
Not far. I don't know, 30 yards, something.
So the first time you see it, it's 30 yards. And is it
30
running?
yards. Yeah, it's dead run, super fast. And I just locked eyes with this thing. I mean, I see it coming in the whole way, just beady eyes locked in on me. And I think this thing's going to kill me. And so I'm thinking, when I say I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm thinking. I just remember what was kind of going through my head at the time. I thought, oh fuck, I'm gonna die, and my protection's right there. Like, I'm gonna die. This is that situation where I'm dead, and they talk about it, and he could have saved himself, but his gun's on the ground. And I think that was like, go for the gun was my whole thing. So I start to go for the gun. Giannis would have been here as I remember it. And so I start to go for the gun and realize, fuck, I don't have time to get to my gun. And it's 3 feet away.
Jesus
that bear is
Christ.
like right there coming down at me so fast. So I kind of do like a football juke move, left, right, and then wheel around right, do like a spin with my back, and then start running to the left. And at that point, Giannis, I didn't know this at the time, because I looked at some pictures afterwards, kind of piece everything together. So Giannis was sitting right next to me. I think he got up to turn. There was some trekking poles right here. He grabbed a trekking pole. So probably while I was juking, he reached around, grabbed the trekking pole, swings around, hits the bear in the face.
Jesus Christ.
So then I see the bear running off. Then I see someone going down the mountain with the bear. I'm thinking he's got someone. So I grab my pistol, start going down the mountain, yelling, oh, count off. I guess I yelled count off, and everyone's like, 1, 1, 1. I'm like, oh shit, who's missing?
Right.
And then Garrett pops up out of the bushes, and his eye, he's like wide-eyed.
So Garrett, aka Dirt Myth, was the one who was on top of the bear.
Somehow he's on the bear's back. So I think when the bear wheeled around, he like hit him, and he ends up on the back. So I saw just legs and bear going down the mountain. I saw his legs on the back of the bear.
So
somehow.
you thought like maybe the bear had him in his jaw?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Wow.
I mean, who would think
he'd be riding a bear? Like if that was in a movie, you'd be like, get the fuck out of here! You're not riding a bear.
I think what was that Anchorman where the guy's like riding the bear in the zoo? That's what it was. It's exactly like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then we kind of circled up around the tree, and the real scary part was that bear. So it was so thick you really couldn't see. I mean, you could see maybe as far as the wall is from us. What was that?
With the trees.
8 feet, yeah, and just real thick brush. And you'd hear the bear charge in again, and we only had the 2 pistols, Giannis and I, and the wind was so strong. There's no way we could have used bear spray. So we hear the bear charging in, and me and Giannis are like pistols out, ready, waiting for this thing to pop out at point blank range. Ugh. And then and you were yelling, bear, bear, hey, hey, hey. And then that thing stops, and then it would just, it would crash off, and then it would charge in from the other direction. So you gotta like circle around the tree the other way. And did that, I think, 3 times. That was just unnerving. It's like a horror movie where it keeps coming in from different angles. It was weird. It was not a fun feeling. You just felt so small.
So you guys had come back to the carcass that was hanging in the tree, and it had probably claimed that carcass?
We don't know.
It knew the carcass was there.
I assume. Now, the weird thing is it came in with the wind. So the wind was blowing pretty stiff and, say, into our face. Mm-hmm. And the bear came in with the wind. So he wasn't going into the scent.
Right.
Normally, go around, they catch the scent, and they charge in. So I don't know if he had heard something, if he was there. We saw what slightly looked like bear sign. Both Steve and I kind of pointed it out, but we were thinking maybe it was something older.
When you say bear sign, you mean bear shit.
Yeah, bear shit at the base
Yeah.
of the tree. Yeah, and so I think, we did some things that were wrong, but in the instance, what saved us all, now if we were to do it 100 times over, I would say I would do it differently, but it worked out how it worked out, so I obviously wouldn't. I would never opt to just have nothing and have this weird scatter effect.
Yeah.
But I think that what saved anyone from getting hurt, which is a miracle, was the fact that when we scattered, it just confused that bear, because he kind of had this look after he started wheeling around, kind of like trying to pick a person, trying to go, and he couldn't target one individual. And then things started hitting him, and somebody's on his back, and I think it just freaked him out, and he went off to regroup, keep charging back in, but never made that full charge all the way back in again.
Wow. That's crazy. How many people have ever gone through a bear attack unscathed like that in a group of 6?
Yeah, and the thing about it was, it wasn't just a bear attack, but looking at it later, had someone even been grabbed and mauled, not to death, but injured, I think that it would have been very unlikely that person would have survived, because the weather that came in was so bad. I don't know if it was 100-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, you aren't getting rescued in 100-mile-an-hour winds, I wouldn't think.
Right.
I don't know. Those Coast Guard helicopters, I'm not really sure what they're capable of. Maybe someone would say, yeah, we'd go, but that would be a very hard thing.
I like that you think about how long you have left on the planet.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wake up, I try to think about that every day.
How like politicians, they'll enter office and they'll make a clock set for like 4 years or whatever, and it counts down. I need to get one of those, like
for life,
for like roughly my life expectancy, and
Yeah.
it counts down backwards.
Well, don't you think that your life expectancy, I mean, you are one of the few people that I know that has almost been killed by a grizzly bear.
Well, yeah,
You had a real
in a
shot.
like in a
You had
brush, yeah,
had a real shot.
something enough where it was scary enough that now that I've studied it a fair bit, that I now know I had a mental. I had like a near death experience mental experience, even though I was unharmed. But it jarred my brain
so hard.
It jarred my the minute or the seconds that occurred jarred my brain so hard that as I've tried to be curious about and study about what happened in my brain, its parallels are all found and it's discussed by people who discuss near death experiences, which might just mean I'm not as tenacious mentally as I'd like to be, but my brain got joggled.
But don't you think that
Is joggled a word?
It is now. Don't you think that when you're in contact with an animal that's that large, I mean, a predatory animal that's, how big was it? 10 feet? How big was that grizzly? Easily?
Yeah, I don't want to.
Enormous.
It was like struck all of us, and we've looked at a lot of bears as being like a mature brown bear.
Okay, so
mature Kodiak brown bear.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to talk about. Talk about where you were at, Fognak Island, which is a place that has enormous bears. That whole part of the world is known for some of the largest brown bears on Earth.
Yeah, it's separated from Kodiak by a narrow strait. It's like the Kodiak brown bear being like the world's biggest bear was just a neighboring island, but that specific specimen, I don't know, a mature
Huge.
animal, big.
Just huge.
Yeah.
When you're around something like that, where there can be no doubt that you can't get out of the way, you can't fight it off, you're helpless. Like, it must trigger something in your mind where you come to grips with the reality of predator and prey, that you almost were on the menu.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no way around that. You can't. There's no rationalizations you could play in your mind when you're confronted with such absolute superiority.
Are you familiar with the term playing possum?
Yes.
Obviously. So, our understanding of opossums now is that they're not playing.
They conk out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stress. He's not playing dead. He hits such a stress level that he shuts off. I'm like embarrassed to admit, but I think it's instructive to point out that I was playing possum in that moment, and I don't mean playing.
Yeah.
It possumed me out.
Let's tell everybody who doesn't know the story.
Oh yeah, so real quick,
Fognak Island.
yeah,
shooting
we've
elk.
been yapping a long time, but we were hunting and had hung a elk up in a tree and left it for a day and a half, all the meat hanging in a tree. And we're camped a few miles away from there and went back with a few guys to retrieve the meat out of the tree, and a bear had found it. And we were very, very aware that this might occur, and went up and investigated the area around the tree and determined that the bear hadn't found it yet. In fact, the carcass of the animal was laying not far away. It was untouched. In hindsight, there was a pile of bear shit that had been smeared on the ground. And I remember looking at that pile of bear shit and wondering if it had been smeared by a bear's foot or smeared by a boot. And I determined that it looked like it had been smeared by a boot, which would have meant we'd smeared the shit when we were hanging the thing in the tree. And then stupidly, we sat down to eat lunch. And within a couple minutes of sitting down to eat lunch, it came in, the bear came in, and it's open mouth past just 18 inches from my head. Jesus. And I was facing away, so I was the last one to see it. Giannis, who you know, he had a pistol, he had bear spray, but he hit it in the head with a pair of black diamond trekking poles. He had sat down, he's got spray, and set his pistol on his pack. But then when I talk about playing possum and all the shit that happens to you, his instinct is to smack it with a trekking pole.
Wow.
Everything you spend all your time thinking about how you're going to handle this, that, and the other thing. And sometimes it's disappointing that you don't handle stress that well. I don't know. I don't know where I went. One of our guys got run over by a bear, rode it down the hill. At that moment, I snapped out of whatever I was in, but it shut me down bad. I even noticed there's a thing that happens to people when they get really cold. They enter a sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy mentality. When you start to get cold, you lose, as you start to get really cold, where you could be in a hypothermic situation, people stop doing the obvious things that you would do to get warm. And I, as aware of that as I am, and as many times as I've experienced that, I still see it happen to me. I still have to snap myself out of it. You're getting cold, you're getting lethargic, you're getting cold, more lethargic, the cold's getting worse. And I have to be you can step in right now and stop this. And I have to remind, it still doesn't come naturally. When you talk to people who train, for this kind of stuff, they have to train in a very realistic environment. They have to train to keep your head, and just make good decisions. If you walk into a active car crash scene or whatever, and there's a severed hand laying on the ground, right? Some people are just going to see that hand, and they're not going to see anything else. Some people are just going to see chaos, and they're not going to focus on any particular thing. But it's the person can come in, see the hand, see everything around them, assess all that. It's it's just from exposure to that super traumatic stuff. Not that getting cold is traumatic, but I do, when I look at how I respond to things, I do catch that there's a mentality to practice and learn.
Yeah, it's understandable that something like a bear attack would trigger senses and trigger a response that you're just not conditioned for. I don't know how you would ever get conditioned to a bear attack.
I don't know. But I don't know. On that same island, these dudes at the same island, there was some guys, the same island, I think it was later that same year, some operatives, some military guys happened to be hunting there. They got attacked by a bear and killed it.
Really?
Yeah. One of them got messed up bad, but he killed it. I'm why'd he kill it and I didn't?
Well, maybe they had their gun out, right? You were in a weird situation, too, because if you guys were relaxed eating lunch, like your guard's down, you're sitting there chewing on a sandwich.
I always laugh because I was in the middle of saying.
What?
Like, I was in the middle of a sentence. I'll never forget because someone was laughing about why we were putting some sandwiches together, and someone was laughing about why my sandwich looked so much nicer than someone else's sandwich. And I said, I was in the middle of saying, if you want a sandwich like this, get your own fucking TV show. But I was never able to finish the sentence. Wow. But I know I was in the middle of saying that when all of a sudden the people around me erupted off the ground as though like a landmine had gone off underneath us.
Whoa.
Because they saw it, and I didn't see it. I was looking the other way.
And it came in running.
Oh, just yeah. That was scary, man. And I've had like fair bit of exposure, and I'm relative to most, a ton of exposure to those things. I got to expose my 10-year-old kid to them this year, a couple times. Hunting caribou in Alaska, and it was like cool to kind of see his thought process.
You've been exposed to more than 99.999% of the population.
Yeah.
And for it to rattle you like that.
It was disappointing, man, because we're always talking about, I'm going to do this and I'll do that. And we're always like, yeah, I actually prefer the 44 over the 3 because, and if I can't get it done with this, 13, I got 13 reasons he doesn't want to charge me with this semi-auto. It's like all this like bullshit, and all of a sudden it like hits and like, swat it with a trekking pole.
I've only seen one grizzly ever in the wild, up close, and it wasn't a big one. It was like a 6-foot bear, but it looked at me in a way that another bear has never looked at me before.
Yeah,
I've seen black bears. Black bears look at you like, "What are you? Who are you? What's going on? Can I walk by you?" Like black bears look at people in a weird way.
Yeah, they're like denizens of the underbrush, man.
The grizzly looked at me like this. Just locked on me, and I was like, oh shit, like that is just a different thing. Like it looked at me like, am I eating you? Am I going to eat you?
Yeah, there's a mindset probably that comes from just not being challenged.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like, remember when you told me that story about the monkey that you had when you were on Fear Factor?
Oh, that monkey beat my ass.
That when you held that little thing, you thought, this thing's made of wood. That's what I feel when I get you up on my shoulder.
Oh.
I'm like, damn, this thing's made of wood.
That's hilarious.
You start
Dude, I was telling Jamie, I think I've told you this story. I've probably told it to everybody I've met, that I have a little baby chimp on the set of News Radio, like way back in the day. It was supposed to be in some stunt. Did I tell you this? I probably said it before. This little motherfucker was on my back, and he hit me a couple times, and I was stunned. I was like, oh, no, this is not what I thought it was. Like, I thought it was like a little person. Like, oh, this little person thinks he's a badass. Let me just calm him down. No, he got on top of me, just hit me a couple times on the back, and I was like, what in the fuck? I just was thinking it immediately. I started doing the math in my head and thinking what it would be like to be confronted by a full-grown chimp.
Okay, well, that's my argument with the silverback versus grizzly. You said grizzly.
Because grizzlies are even more motherfucking badass than a chimp. A grizzly can't. Like, there's no way a chimp can outrun a grizzly. There's no way. Not a chance in hell.
What's I don't know if that's true. What is a silverback full speed? Have you seen one of those things coming through the bamboo?
That a grizzly can outrun a silverback.
Or whatever they come through?
I know it. I feel confident. I think chimps are faster than gorillas, and I think a grizzly can outrun a chimp.
Jamie lie for me.
I think there's no way the gorilla's getting fucked. He's getting, he's doomed.
I'm telling you right now.
Big ass interior
I know
grizzly.
what your hands feel like when they shake mine. So I would be, I guess I'm not like a grizzly, but.
You're a giant dude.
Like silverback would crumple you like a empty pop can.
It wouldn't even be like, he wouldn't even feel you. He would go through you like whipped cream. 25 miles an hour. Top speed. Why does it say it feels like? 25.
It feels like 25.
Similar
Actual
animals.
speed's 34, but it feels like 25.
I don't understand what that means.
This is from someone riding its back. Get to a different website.
Is that what this is? Is that really what this is?
I'm trying to see what that means.
Oh my God. I love the name Wapiti. Where'd that come from? Do you know where that came from for elk?
Speedofanimals.com. A wapiti?
Yeah, what is it? Where's that word come from?
That's what an elk is, dude.
I
A wapiti.
never.
It's actually a wapiti.
Who called it the Wapiti? What is that? Where's that name come from?
I've heard it.
It's a cool name.
Wapiti Wednesday is a hashtag. Cam uses it a lot.
Powerful Wapiti Wednesday.
Chimpanzees use the same speed though.
Is it?
A chimp. I said a
25 miles per
silverback.
hour.
What?
I don't want to know what
Oh
a
my
chimp
God.
is.
But don't you think a chimp is
Get
faster?
that chump off there.
Don't you think a chimp is faster than a gorilla?
Give me a silverback.
Okay.
Have you seen a silverback come out of the frickin' the
They're
jungle?
fast.
2025.
See, told you. So this is what I'm thinking.
So it's
I'm
speed
thinking
over
the bear
strength.
gets them.
It's just like an archery argument.
Yeah, maybe. I think the bear gets them.
Heavy arrow, slower speed, fast arrow.
But there's not much of a difference in the speed. It's real close. And a grizzly bear is so much bigger, moving so much more mass around. Like if a big grizzly is 500 pounds, a silverback,
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, a big grizzly, interior grizzly. What is a big one? Like 900? Is that really big?
not a mountain grizzly.
What-
You can look it up. I
But
would
they're
say
the more aggressive ones,
Let's
right?
just say 600 to 700.
And the really big ones are the coastal ones, right?
Yep.
Which they call brown bears for some
Brown
reason.
bears, yep.
Why do they call
Coastal.
them that? Because it's the same animal.
It's a different species.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah,
They don't interbreed or anything.
they're
like that?
bigger.
They're big. It's just
Bigger.
a totally different bear.
Yeah, one looks like a Volkswagen with hair, and one looks more like a Ford truck with hair.
It's one of those other things where the one that has the scarier name is like not the biggest one, which is weird. Like brown bear sounds like, oh, he's so cuddly. And you see
Yeah.
those buses
Polar
on
bear.
Kodiak Island. Yeah,
They
polar
sell
bear.
Coke.
Yeah. Klondike bars.
Yeah.
What would you
that's
do?
right.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
would
Fucking
not
polar bear's
go
your
up
buddy.
there to
Hey,
get
I'm
one.
your buddy. I live in a place where there's no vegetables.
It's a conspiracy theory. Polar bears brought that up.
Do you
They
think that
literally
it's-
made those to make themselves look cuddly so humans would be stupid enough to walk up to them.
Do you think it's like a nature trick? Like nature made them cool to look at so we don't mind as much that they're murderers?
I would argue Disney.
Fucking Disney. Right? Like that Bambi movie. That
So
drew
a
lot of people
silverback
in.
is slower by 10 miles an hour.
5 or so.
Is there anyone that
Gorilla's
has that?
fucked, I told you.
No, but is there any strength of a silverback versus a grizzly?
I don't even think it's comparable.
I say this saying I really respect grizzly bears and brown bears because you know that.
Well, I
know
think
that.
that
I've
eased the
experienced them a
concerns of a
lot.
lot of grizzly bears and brown bears that were listening in
Yeah,
on
they
this.
were. They're pumped.
I think that they're all dangerous and ferocious. And
I'm thinking silverback versus the grizz.
you think you would win?
Yeah,
Maybe.
we need people who listen to this podcast needs to put it in the post. We need to know what people want to know.
I wouldn't want to fight a 38-pound rat.
No kidding.
I'd be fucking terrified to fight a 38-pound rat. So the idea
Why
of
38?
I just can't put a number. Because that's a fucking giant rat, man.
Yeah, but you should have said 30, 40.
I know, but
A
like, what's
38.
how
So
much does a house
37,
cat
you can
weigh?
get it?
What's a house cat weigh? Like 10 pounds?
No way.
Less?
That's Garfield weighs 10.
Okay, like 7 pounds, something like that?
I would think.
Something along those lines. Okay, now make it bigger. Like keep like at what size does it become
First
totally
off-
unmanageable?
First off, if you're not wearing welding gloves, a 10-pound in shape house cat, you're
It'll
not
fuck
talking
you
like
up.
Garfield. You're
Yeah.
talking like, I don't know. Let's talk about a Conor McGregor Garfield coming in at 10.
Like a real good tiger cat, like one of them, you know, those ones like real common house cat ones that look like.
Well,
little-
picture this. If you grabbed a 10-pound mountain lion, do you think you can control that thing? There's no way.
My
They're-
neighbor is
38 pound.
My neighbor's a good buddy of mine, and he saw a mountain lion. And he saw a mountain lion when he was walking his dogs. He's got these little cutie dogs. He's walking his little cutie dogs, and he saw this fucking thing. Saw its tail and picked it up, picked the dogs up, and ran back to his house. And then
Smart guy.
got on a website and found out that they had tracked this animal and that it had a collar on it. And they tracked it, and it got hit by a car on the 5. And he was explaining like how the whole thing went down. And I was like, whoa, like that thing. You were walking your dogs, and this big ass cat. It was like 120 pound plus cat.
So the actual cat that had a collar, he knew that's the one he encountered?
Yeah. He saw the collar, and then he went on the website, and you can track, because he'd found out that this cat had died, and when he found out the cat died, he went and the sound of whiskey.
Are you good over there?
Yeah, I'm good, dude. Trust me.
Your Yeti's
Talking a lot of stupid shit.
I know, you haven't even touched that.
Oh, I definitely have. How dare you? You're one of those guys? Bro, you're not even drunk as me, bro.
Quit bullying me.
Sorry. It's my instinct. What we were just what the fuck was I just getting
38
to? 38
pound rat.
Oh, yeah.
Among other things.
So a silverback is essentially like a super primate, right? The most super primate.
Yes.
But a bear is one of the most super freak predator animal freak out things. Like if a bear was little, like a 9-pound bear, like the size of a 9-pound rat was trying to kill you, you'd be freaking the fuck out. If it was running at you like a little tiny bear, you'd be fucking terrified. Now think of a giant one and realize how you are totally defenseless. And I don't think it's going to be that much difference for a gorilla.
I literally think of a silverback gorilla with the way they're built and they swing around. I think if he stood on the chest of a grizzly, he could grab its paws and literally rip its arms out and beat it with it.
Wow, King Kong was a good movie. I'll agree with you there. I enjoyed it as much as the next
I'm not
lad.
even thinking of Kong, but I believe that.
I don't think that's correct. I don't think they're that strong.
How much is the thumb? The thumb does give an advantage, though, right? It could grab.
Yes.
And
wait,
it's a little smarter.
Yes.
And move around a little faster.
Jamie. Great.
But
he just
the
brought
bear's
the
way
thumb in.
stronger. Way stronger. It could smack it once and probably knock
we
it
need
out.
to. Well, I've
just
seen
think-
that.
I think
I've seen a grown mountain grizzly hit a moose and can it.
Yeah, you told me that.
That I've seen.
You saw it with your own eyes, right?
But is there any solid information of strength of a silverback? There's not.
There's just a lot of people that have argued this on the internet for the last 5 to 10
We
years.
get dangerously
Why don't
close
they
to this
put-
argument.
Seriously, why don't they put Thor's hammer on the ground and put a taco in it or something to where a grizzly has to try to grab it and pull it off and have a sensor versus the silverback?
The grizzly definitely can't grab as hard because it doesn't have thumbs like we talked about. But I think that,
Yeah, but that's relative to a beating.
right.
How many fighters have a big ass and a lot of leg power,
Right.
croak off, versus someone that's just sheer gorilla up top? Let's go there.
I just wonder how strong a gorilla really is in comparison to what's essentially like a giant dog. I just
What?
think he's going to get fucked up.
Are you crazy?
You think
A
he's a gorilla?
silverback is equivalent to a giant dog?
No. A bear is. What I'm saying is
Fair.
a bear is like essentially like a giant
Possibly,
wild dog.
but well.
Why would I call a silverback a dog?